Welcome to the 5-Minute English Vocabulary Podcast. My name is Herbert Lee, and I'll be your host. Now you can easily improve your vocabulary without memorizing long lists of boring words, and still develop a powerful command of English. You'll learn the origin of words, or etymology, told as easy-to-remember stories. You'll also hear some jokes, and learn some idioms as well. Episode 8. Quarantine, COVID. When you think of quarantine, immediately think of 40. Through the ages, quarantine has meant many things, all associated with the number 40. In the early 1500s, quarantine was the name of the number of days a widow could legally remain in her dead husband's house. 100 years later, quarantine meant the period of days that a ship suspected of carrying disease had to be isolated. In addition, quarantine was a number of days that travelers coming from a plague-ridden country had to stay away from others in the new country. 40 days was chosen because of its strong biblical roots. The number 40 occurs many times in the Bible. These periods of 40 relate to the important idea of waiting, contemplation, and testing. Nowadays, a quarantine, which is a period of isolation without a specific number of days, that is usually associated with a disease. Even a patient in the hospital can be in isolation until he or she recovers. So stay healthy and avoid a quarantine. During COVID, quarantines became commonplace in many countries. How did we get the name COVID-19? WHO, the World Health Organization, gave this name in 2020. COVID is spelled C-O-V-I-D. The C-O stands for corona. This is the shape of the protein spikes of the virus, which resemble a crown or corona. The V-I is for virus, and the D stands for disease. Therefore, COVID, C-O-V-I-D, means coronavirus disease. The number 19 is the year 2019, when it came into existence in the world. The saying, bless you after a sneeze, comes from the 14th century Pope Gregory VII, who asked for it to be said after a sneeze in order for it to protect you against the plague. The other accepted story is that during the bubonic plague, if someone sneezed, it was a sure sign that they were going to die. As a result, people would say, God bless you, and run like crazy so that they wouldn't get infected. Many new words have come into the English vocabulary in the form of words and slang during the COVID period. Here are just a few. Blur's Day, with days blurring one into another, merging into eventless weeks, catapulting into lull months, and then some. Every day is a Blur's Day. Coronials. Babies conceived and born during the pandemic will forever be known as coronials. And you thought being millennial was bad. Covidiot. A blend of COVID-19 and idiot, Covidiot is a slang insult for a person who disregards safety measures or goes against public health advice during the pandemic. The opposite of a covidiot is a covidiant, or a person who follows all government rules and regulations related to the COVID pandemic. Quarantini. A quarantini is nothing more than a cocktail that people drink at home while under quarantine. A mix of the words quarantine and martini. Quarantini is a general term for any beverage consumed at home during lockdown. Super spreader. Massive gatherings and events during the pandemic where a large crowd is infected by a single infected individual is called a super spreader. WFH. WFH stands for work for home, which has become the new normal in several countries. Corona spec. This is a slang term for the weight gained during the coronavirus lockdown. Zumping. For breakups in the time of social distancing, zumping is a slang for dumping someone over Zoom or any video calling service. Zoom bombing. Zoom bombing is when an uninvited guest gate crashes a virtual meeting and takes control of it, perhaps even sharing inappropriate content. So my daughter Lisa and I are going to tell you some COVID jokes.
Yeah, let's put COVID in its place by laughing at it.
What do all virus jokes have in common?
They're very catchy.
Nail salons, hair salons, waxing center, and tanning places are closed. It's about to get very ugly soon. What should you do if you don't understand the coronavirus joke?
Be patient.
I'll tell you a corona joke right now, but you'll have to wait 2 weeks to see if you got it. If there's a baby boom 9 months from now, what will happen in 2033?
There'll be a whole bunch of quarantines.
Did you hear the joke about the germ?
Never mind, I don't want to spread it around.
Why didn't the sick guy get the joke?
It flew over his head.
What types of jokes are allowed during quarantine?
Inside jokes.
Well, I hope you had a good laugh with those jokes. This is the end of our episode on quarantine and COVID. I hope as I end this episode, you'll remember to think about the original meaning of quarantine. Quarantine is a period of waiting, contemplation, and test. So really, it's a good time to contemplate, to think about what you want to do with your life, how you want to go ahead, and how you want to interact with other people when that time comes. In next week's episode, we'll be discussing hodgepodge. So until then, it's Herbert Lee saying bye for now.